Hi, I'm Mr. Brusman here at Coon Rapids High School. Just a little bit of a review on the joiner here. This is a old Northfield joiner. We do have a Powermatic smaller machine as well. So what I've got here is we've got our 15.5-inch piece. We actually have a straight edge on here, but let's say we didn't have a straight edge on here and we had both edges rough and I needed to go ahead and do this, okay? Now, the basic minimum size as far as the width is 1.5 inches. I'm just over that, but my hands would definitely be too close to the blade to join this board, okay? So before we place the board on, a couple things that I need to look at. First thing I want to look at is I want to look at the grain. I'm looking for the grain to be coming down the board and coming off of the edge that I'm going to join, going towards the tail. So if we look at this grain here, kind of works its way down, this would be my tail, this would be my leading edge. Not splits, checks along the edge that I'm joining, we do not do. If there is a crack in the board, if it's a very small one, as long as it's not going to come in contact with the knives, typically is okay. Larger cracks, we need to separate the board into two pieces before we come to the joiner. You can talk to your instructor on how to do that. We also need to look at the edge for a crown. Typically on a short board like this, it's not going to be an issue, but the crown is the curvature of the board. I want to have the crown up, so that would mean that if I'm doing this edge and there is a crown in the board, it would be touching the table here and here with a gap in the middle. That would be putting the crown up. Alright? So we've got our board on the machine. The first thing that I need to do, make sure that my fence is good and tight. Check the locks for the in-feed table. Make sure that those are tight. Also check the depth of cut and make sure that it is an 1/8 inch or less. Right now the machine is set at a 1/16 of an inch. Smaller repeated cuts is safer than one large cut. Okay? Alright, so we're going to go ahead and place our push stick. We have two different push sticks here. This push stick is for the left hand, the front one, and we simply place this on, and we place it at a 45 that engages the lock so it keeps it tight against the fence as well as down against the table. Now the back hand, the right hand, we place on top in the middle of the board with the notch hanging down off the back, preventing that kickback. And as I go through, I will shuffle my feet. Alright? So we'll go ahead, turn the machine on, and run this board through. Stop. This machine, if you do not pull the brake, will run for several minutes as it is slowing down, so we need to pull the brake. It has a manual brake on it. A slow rate of feed is used on the joiner here. It is a two-handed operation. You need to have two hands on it. Okay? Now let me grab a wider board here. So here I have a wider board with a piece of walnut. Okay, and if I was to be joining this end, it's wide enough that I can use my hands. We have a 4-inch safety margin, meaning that it needs to be 4 inches wide. I need at least 1 inch to hang onto the board. I place my left hand with my fingers on top of the board. If it's taller than the fence, you can wrap your fingers around the back of the fence. My thumb needs to be at the top of the fence on the board, pushing it against the fence. So you can see how I'm actually grabbing it here because it is taller than the fence. Now my back hand, I'm going to bring my elbow up, 2 fingers on top, thumb trailing behind. My first knuckle is above the top of the board, meaning the edge of the board is about where my fingernail is meeting the skin on the back side of my thumb. Okay? And again, I will shuffle my feet. So we'll go ahead and run this board through. Okay? You can hear how it All right. And that basically covers it for the joiner here. One thing, if you are waiting in line for the joiner, stand behind the operator. Do not stand down here as you're standing in the danger zone where a kickback from the joiner can occur. You need to stand behind the operator.